On this week's episode of the Brooklyn Nets Weekly, Bam and I are going to explore where this magnificent team is at. Let's talk basketball, New York City. Welcome again, everybody, to Brooklyn Nets Weekly. With me, as per usual, I have my guy, Bam, at Pass First, or one of the many iterations of his Twitter handle, but at Pass First 11 is the typical joint. We are recording on a Sunday, not our typical thing, but I can't work out early in the morning and stay up. On a weekend, I fell right asleep, man. I apologize live on the podcast to you again.
It happens, man. We're old, man. We're washed up. It is what it is.
I'm so washed, dude. Like it's just crazy. Like my generation is the Peter Pan generation in the sense of like we were the first real hip hop generation. Like. And because of it, we think we're eternally young, and when we're just really old, like Jay-Z and Diddy are both 5 years older than me.
I'm a few years away from like the standard dad white New Balance sneakers.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. The Nike Monarchs.
I've been buying like the Air Maxes for like 10 straight years. Like I don't have another pair of sneakers.
I'm not letting go. You know what? But you know what does happen is your kid becomes more swaggy than you. Like my son's sneaker game is mean and mine is horrible. Speaking of my son, like me and him were talking yesterday, and you know, it's funny if you don't have a 2K or if you don't play PS5 or something, it's hard to like spend time with a kid nowadays because one, they're studying, they're playing ball or whatever they do, and then when they get a chance to relax, they don't really want to relax with you. So me and my son,
they don't watch TV.
Nah, they don't really watch shows and movies. It's like every now and then he has an anime that he likes, but the one thing that we do bond over, like it really, I showed him this video of Knicks fans celebrating. Because I'm trying to teach him what a poor sport is, and I was showing him the Knicks fans celebrating after they became 500, and they were screaming "fuck the Brooklyn Nets." He was like, "Where do these people live? Like I don't know them." In his head, he thinks the Knicks fans are mythical because kids don't like the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always curious how. Like he's 8 years old, right, or 9?
Right, he's 8.
Right, I'm always curious who those kids are rooting for if their fathers aren't Knicks fans or their fathers don't like a specific team. Are they even following the league, or are they just following players? And my guess is they're just following the players at this point.
Yeah, they really follow the players, and they follow winning, and they follow the teams that they can like. Nobody really plays like how my generation played, where you would pick a team. Like I used to like Golden State on all the old console games.
Dude, I ran with the Nets. Even like if they had Chris Childs, I ran with the Nets. It didn't matter. That's my team. I've never played Madden with anybody other than the Giants.
No, but I would always play with my team. Same. But every now and then, if you had your secondary team, like ancient times, but I just remember a time that Latrell Sprewell was like the best game on EA. And I mean, best player on EA. I mean, that's going back, but still, like, this is why this Nets team is so special, is that, you know, my son is like, Barclays Center is a place we go. I know everybody there. I'm gonna get popcorn every time for free, probably. And you know, my team is the black and white team, and I like the Nets. I'm from Brooklyn. I like the Nets, and but the passion is not like ours. The passion comes from when me and him play. He'll say, "All right, I gotta pick your team, Dad," because I still whoop that ass, and he'll pick the Knicks because for him, in his head, the way you process it, if you only been watching basketball the last 3 or 4 iterations of NBA 2K,
Right.
If that's your view on basketball, the Knicks is the
When he
team you
plays
don't
the
want to be.
computer, he can be Knicks.
Right. Exactly. If he's especially if he's trying to cheese, he'll just out of knowing that the Knicks suck. Like in his mind, the Knicks are synonymous with suck.
Right.
And I don't think Knicks fans, like I saw a lot of young Knicks fans there. I was surprised, but he also plays ball, and his basketball camp is at John Jay. I expect the where he plays ball locally in Brooklyn at the Y. I expect them to be Nets homers, but at the Manhattan gym, he plays at John Jay's basketball team's gym in the summer, and I'm telling you, 95%. It was just the weirdest thing. It was like when Kyrie first signed, and the entire team had those SpongeBob sneakers on, and my son was like,
right.
"I need them, Dad. I gotta have them." And he didn't even really understand why he had to have them, but
his friends. That's it.
Exactly, and so I love. I mean, I love the banter of arguing with 50-year-old Knicks fans about ratings and all of that shit, but really, like, if you think about it, there's no way the Nets should be anywhere close to the Knicks in ratings. The Knicks committed the first sin. Let me get this off, by the way. I was telling myself I wanted to talk about this on the pod, and you tell me your perspective, especially being a Long Island Nets fan in the sense of being from Long Island. The New York Nets, I was watching the Dr. J documentary the other day, and when he started talking about his sadness after he helped the Nets get to the NBA, and the Knicks forced the Nets to New Jersey and made them have to give them so much money to even enter the league that they had to sell Dr. J.
That was the NBA version of systemic racism. They were like, we're gonna implement this clause that you can join us, but we're gonna put you at a severe disadvantage.
That is the original sin and evil of the Knicks,
right?
Forcing. Because imagine how much better basketball history would be in New York City if the New York Nets existed and you had 10 years of Dr. J, a guy from New York, a Rucker Park hero, also kind of connecting everything with his Long Island. Like, they
may have gone to a finals in the early 80s and everything is different. What bothers me so much about the Knicks fan is when they brag about like the size of their fan base, it's not like they earned it. They're just the only New York team in a major sport that didn't have competition until 2013. So you have the entire market share.
For 75 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
There's no alternative,
Right.
So congratulations. Everybody likes your team. All right. And has that won you any games?
And I think it makes them worse. I think it makes them worse because they don't necessarily have to be good to make money and be worth the most. Right. Their loyalty is almost like the thing that's really poisoning them. Because I don't believe in like how they're good right now, but they're good for all of the wrong reasons. They're good because most of the NBA has really just come to grips with the fact that nobody's beating the Nets in the playoffs. And Indiana, as an example, like when they joined that trade, that Harden trade, they basically was pulling, waving the white flag. They could say whatever they wanted, but they got rid of Oladipo because they didn't want to pay him, and they knew we're not going nowhere with this team. And I would say the same thing with Orlando. Like Orlando is not playing; is more quietly doing it, but they're making sure Aaron Gordon doesn't get hurt, so they could try to flip him at the trade deadline. So, like, teams are giving up because the Nets, dude, I'll segue to this. The Nets might get Drummond. It sounds ridiculous.
I don't know, man. I feel like someone's going to trade for him.
You would think they would have to, right?
I mean, if I were the Knicks, I would trade for him just to be like, I'm not letting the Nets get this fucking guy.
You know what? For all of the dirty, underhanded tricks that the MSG Dolan people do, and I think there should be Jets fans who are Knicks fans that stop being Knicks fans because of what Dolan did to the Jets. The Jets could have had a stadium on the West Side Highway.
Yeah.
Do you not understand how dope that would be? You could come up to the stadium in a boat, like Dolan stopped that. Like that dude is horrible, and it would be horrible if they traded for Drummond. But I would love them to poison themselves with Andre Drummond, who doesn't want to be there.
I think it's possible. I feel like somebody's going to just be like, I think the price tag to get him is going to be so low.
Right.
Someone's going to say, hey, I'll put this guy in my system, and it's a double-double.
You know what? He would be better than Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel.
I almost don't want to get him because I feel like it's just like it's over. What are we doing here?
We're just waiting for the championship to be
delivered. You want to earn it a little bit.
That you want some kind of intrigue, right?
I don't play 2K easy. I put it on Superstar. You want a challenge.
Exactly. But if we get Drummond, it's just going to be like, we're just going to be looking out the window waiting for the Amazon Fresh to be delivered. We just got fresh spinach. in the Larry O'Brien Trophy.
On average, what do they play, like 3.5 games a week? Usually 1 or 2 of those games is a dud. I mean, that Houston game was not fun to watch.
Nah, it was ugly.
Some of the games are just like, all right, like 5 minutes in, you're like, all right, so they're going to win. Like, who's going to have a big night?
They're making a mockery of the league. And look how good they've been. This is why I'm on such a James Harden, please forgive me, campaign, because I never imagined this dude was this.
Right.
You understand? When a player is not on your team, sometimes I think you could emotionally make a caricature of the player, right? This dude, James Harden, makes our shit players better by a lot.
Right.
And with him and Kyrie on the floor, it's unfair. That was the calculation I made. I said him and Harden and Westbrook didn't work. Harden and Chris Paul didn't work. How did that not work? And him and Kyrie, I don't know what it is. It just is better.
Right.
What do you think it is that makes Harden and Kyrie work, and not some of these other combinations that they've made?
So I think, like, first off, Westbrook is never going to defer to anybody, and then Chris Paul is not an effective player if he's not setting the table for everybody.
Right. If he's not doing point guard stuff. Right.
Kyrie really isn't a point guard. Mm-hmm. He's not a guy that makes people around him better.
Right.
James
he's playing
is
at a
so
speed
basically
faster than most everybody on the team.
Right.
Like they're
trying to catch up to him
James.
Too. Right. So basically, James gets everybody else baskets, and then like 1 out of every 4 possessions, he'll just let Kyrie go score.
Yeah, and when Kyrie comes off the bench by himself, and he just goes for his. Some of these games, he shot poorly because he kind of just went for his. But when he does that, man, like when he could just go downhill on a team, it's demoralizing. Like I'm watching teams go, okay, we held on to him for the first quarter. They made some shots. It's close, but then there'll be like some point in the second quarter that Kyrie comes in and just slits their throat. It's fun to watch as a fan, but I could see why it could be a little boring.
It's just complacency. What's really killing it is the no fans. So if they were playing these home games and Barclays is rocking, it adds some juice. But when they're at home playing the Magic or something, and they're up 6 in the first quarter, and it's just like obvious they're going to win the game. It just takes got to be emotion and anxiety out of being a fan.
Yeah, and I